Is fashion designing something made for you or not? This is a question as a student keeps coming to our mind when we look at videos on Instagram, we look at still pictures in the magazines, and many other movies as well. In this episode of Better Tomorrow, we are talking to a fashion designer, Kunal Maru, based out of Bhopal, has his studios across India, where we are discussing everything right from what subject do you choose in grade 11, how is that going to shape up your career, what are you going to do in the college life, right from the nitty gritties into the of the fashion industry, what all jobs you have to do, how does a job profile looks like when you become a fashion designer, is opening up your own business is the thing, or you should work under some famous fashion designer or something. We have covered it all. So if you are a design aspirant and really wanting to become a fashion designer, this episode is a must watch till the end, because at the end we have done a quick rapid fire round which is going to light up your mood for sure. So stay tuned till the end and hit the like button as soon as you watch the video. Hi Kunal, welcome to this episode of Better Tomorrow, which is exclusively for our students, specifically the ones who are planning to get into design as a field. So, what's up?
Hi Sukriti, I'm good. How are you?
I'm absolutely fine.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you to you for joining us today.
Pleasure.
So, how's life so far?
Life's been very good, yeah. Super blessed, super grateful. I've met a lot of people who have mentored me, supported me, and it's been good. It's been like a slow cooked meal.
No
And
regrets so far.
No regrets so far. There will always be regrets about doing certain things right, doing certain things differently. But by far, it's been really good, and I'm really enjoying where I am.
Oh, that's lovely. So, you being a successful fashion designer,
Successful, not yet, trying to be.
Of course, but I'm sure this is that position where many of our students and parents whose children want to pursue this particular field might aim or desire to be. So that
Possible.
way, I would definitely use the word successful. So,
Possible.
how does your day look like? What time do you start? What time do you end?
Yeah, usually I start my day by 10:30, 11. And first things first, I come to the store, see what's happening. Our workshop is right behind my store. So sorry. I go to my workshop, meet my karigars, see what they have been working on, how have the things turned out. We usually provide, not usually, for every product we are making, we provide design sheets, which are usually handmade. And so I have to see what the process has been like, how the products have come out. Finishing is something very important. So, and because we are a lot into handcrafted stuff, so everything matters a lot, because
Correct.
every little flaw also
The
is too much in
detailing
your
is
face.
the key,
Yes.
I guess. And what time do you normally go back home?
See, as of now, work is pretty light, so usually I'm back home by 8:30.
So it looks like your
7:30,
work-life balance
8:30.
is good.
Yes, I try to, but as soon as the season hits, which is the wedding season,
All right.
schedules go for an absolute toss, because day starts really early and ends really late.
Cool.
So usually, we are in a season time, we usually end our day at 10:30, 11, because clients are here up till 10:30, 11. They get done with their selections, trials. Morning we start early. So that's what it is like.
Cool. So you have a balanced day when it comes to low season or lean season, while a very hectic day, which is like normal, I guess, in every industry.
Yeah, I think it's pretty normal. It's pretty normal because you're working with a team of people. They are working for you. You're working for them. It's a very collaborative process. So even if I'm putting in less hours of mine, it affects the work.
Correct.
Even if they start to put in less of their labor and their time, it will affect the work. So yes, we have to be on our toes. And when work is fun, it doesn't really look like you're working a lot. It doesn't feel like, because
As rightly said by Steve Jobs, I guess. If you love your job, I think you won't feel like working any single day.
it's fun, yeah. It's fun when you really are doing what you enjoy the most. It doesn't feel like work. और वो थकान भी बहुत अच्छी होती है.
Correct. So, being a fashion designer today at the age of 29, if I'm not wrong,
Right.
when did you realize that fashion is your calling? Because I know there are a lot of fields that we are going to talk in the upcoming part in design and architecture for that matter, as these two are considered in the same umbrella. When did you realize that fashion is something that really excites you?
Fashion, I really started to, think seriously about fashion when I was in my 11th standard, 11th or 12th, if I'm not wrong, because I was not at all a good student. I was
In terms
pathetic
of
at my studies
studies,
in terms
all
of
right.
studies. Yes, in terms of studies.
Yeah.
And I was always more inclined towards crafts, art, sports. I did not want to make a career in a very typical fashion, which is I did not want a typical management job. I did not want a typical desk job, and not anything too technical. But
Cool.
I always wanted to make my career out of any creative field.
Cool.
So, because I've been a very observant person, and which really contributes to becoming a creative head. And around my 11th or 12th standard, when life is getting a little bit more serious in terms of, choosing your subjects, choosing your
Career.
optional subjects, and eventually career, yes, when everyone's asking you कि क्या सोचा है life
क्या
का,
बनना है?
क्या बनना है, क्या करना है. So I started to think कि what are the possible options I have, and I did not realize it until then, but I was always very keen of. I was always observing what people are wearing, what colors are going with what, is the overall look balanced or not. All of my friends used to, back then I really did not have a cell phone or anything. So people used to call upon landline, ask what should be, what should they be wearing on a certain day out, or if they are having a birthday party which they are throwing, what should they be wearing. People, my friends used to take me for shopping. My mom used to ask me how, like, what should she be wearing.
Uh-huh.
My relatives used to always check up with me, and I did not realize it, but I was buying all these magazines back then, GQ, Filmfare. I wasn't
Cosmopolitan
reading
and all.
them, whatever I could get a hang of. I was not really reading them, but I was, I think, educating myself because I was very keen what all brands are existing in that space and
Just
time.
in that line of interest, what's your favorite brand?
Yeah, I do not have any specific
Is it
brand
Kunal
as
Maru?
such. No, no, no. But yes, I'm a big lover of the craft our karigars eventually put out. I really respect it because it's mostly handcrafted, and we try and go very, how do I say, very uh, eco-friendly way. Sustainable would be a bit more extreme to pull it, because sustainability is something that starts with, procuring your yarns from the most sustainable way. So we are
Organically.
trying to be like that, but yes, we try and keep as much as organic as we can. And but I don't have any specific favorite
Still,
brand.
I personally feel everybody has that dream thing or something that you really want to own. Maybe some of the biggest brand houses that we can speak of, let's say Louis Vuitton, Christian Dior, or anybody of that sort. Have
Yeah,
you
I'm a
ever
big
thought?
shoe fan.
Okay, so you're
I'm
a
a big,
sneakerhead.
not a sneakerhead. Sneakers are sneakers. Shoe meaning I'm a big fan of good crafted leather shoes.
Okay.
Berluti is one brand that I really admire and I
Okay.
really love because of their craftsmanship.
Okay.
And you know, Oliver's Peoples is another brand.
Okay.
They make sunglasses and these kind of things. I love them for their craft and their
So you've
technicalities.
got an eye for craftsmanship. This is what I
Craftsmanship and
understand.
detailing, yes, that's something I love. And I think these are one or two I can think of.
Okay. All right. So, since we were talking about that 11th and 12th is the class where we really get serious about what to do in our career, what is the right stream that we should go ahead with, what subject did you choose in grade 11th?
I chose commerce with fine arts.
Oh, so I think you chose the godly combination when it comes at least to designing back then. Because today we have got a lot of other options in multiple schools and boards. But if you're 29, which I can understand that at the age of 17, when you might, or 16, you might have chosen your subject, fine arts is something every school might be providing back then.
Yes, fine arts, and it's still as much there. fine arts
So,
as an
so
optional
does
subject.
did that really, fine arts as a subject, did that really help you throughout your journey of becoming a fashion designer in your college or even today?
I think what fine arts enables you to do, it makes you better with your illustration skills.
Okay.
So it's like a given. If you want to pursue a career in fashion or styling, let's say styling is a alternate field in fashion, but yes, if you know how to illustrate your ideas, it always gives the person who's going to make it a lot of clarity.
Okay.
And even for yourself, when you have ideas in your head, when you put them on paper, you can actually see what
How
it
will
might
it
look
come,
like. How will
outcome?
it, yes, how will it come to life, what it will look like. Because just in the design phase you understand ki, okay, this thing is a bit too much, I need to add this, I need to actually, proportion is a bit off. So you can work a lot more seamlessly if you have honed your illustration skills.
So tell me one thing, that suppose I want to become a fashion designer, or let's say one of my student comes and tell me that, ma'am, I'm great at having an eye for detailing and everything, but I am absolutely horrible when it comes to drawing and sketching. Has technology somehow taken up this bit, and still we can find designers with horrible designing skills and still doing great in their careers? Is that still a is that a possibility now?
That's usually a possibility, because even if you look at the scenario now or even history, there have been very good designers who could not sketch really well,
Okay.
but in terms of making a team, they've managed to make such a good team who understand their vision, who understand their state of mind really well, and eventually put out what the creative person wants. So even if you're not very good with sketching, you just need to be slightly better at explaining
Okay.
to your master, to your tailor, what is it exactly you're looking for.
Okay.
Even that does the play. I mean, just not knowing illustration or just not being good with sketching skills doesn't mean that you can't do it.
Oh, that's a very important take. I think everybody who's listening to us today should know that, because since I know that design is a stream neutral field, which means that you do not have to choose PCM or PCB or humanity. You can go with anything you want to.
Yes.
So, since you chose commerce and you're also saying that sketching, drawing, and all of that is not really important, what if a student chooses a subject like, let's say, PCM, PCB? Is it going to anywhere help him, or is it going to add to the burden in their day to day life while they are studying 11th and 12th?
In terms of fashion,
Yes.
I don't think it is going to make your life any difficult or make it any easier.
Okay.
See, it's about curiosity. If you're curious about, say, exploring fashion, say, exploring graphic design as a field or whatever, you just have to be curious in terms of asking people questions, sitting down with karigars. And in India, we are so flooded with homegrown brands. Every gully has a boutique or two. So a person who's curious needs to ask questions. They need to go into people's workshops, sit down with the karigars, observe what people are making, doing, how are they doing it, how
And
much you're
start
willing to
as early
learn,
as
and
possible.
how hungry you are to create something, to say build a business, to build a brand, to build a product, something as small as that. Even if you're curious to create something, you can actually get around people, and people observe this. If you have that kind of energy which is infectious, when people see that you are really on and about to create something nice and beautiful, people do come around and join you and tell you 10 things from their own end. Actually, see, this is how it's done, this is how this is cut, this is how a piece is assembled, this is how a fabric is embroidered, these are the kind of embroideries there are. So I mean, people just need to be curious. And
So, since you mentioned curiosity is the most important thing, we often talk to students about what attributes they should have when it comes to any career. So, I'll give you a quick example. Um, Whenever we talk about a career like, let's say, medical sciences, I come across students who talk about, ma'am, I cannot see movies which has got a lot of bloodshed and gore. Then I tell them, how do you imagine yourself operating on a body, or let's say a cadaver, whatever, wherever? So what? So this is an important attribute when it comes to medical sciences. You have to tolerate, or let's say have that kind of tolerance to watch something of that sort. Similarly, when I talk about law, you have to be an avid reader. Come on,
Yeah.
because okay, you don't have to rote learn everything, but you have to be a comprehensive reader,
Correct.
right? At the same time, as a fashion designer, early in the age, let's say 11th and 12th class, what do you think uh, are those attributes that a student should for sure look at? Like you mentioned, you had an eye for detailing, you were curious about stuff, you were observant. So a student who's watching us would want to know कि क्या fashion मेरा field है या नहीं, क्या मेरे लिए बना है या नहीं. So what are those attributes according to you?
Yeah, I think being observant is a key in
Okay.
any field, not just design or arts or anything. If you're observant about people, life in general, it gives you a sense of a lot of things, you know. And I feel when it comes to creative fields like fashion or graphics or UI, UX or whatever, I think being observant is where you start from.
Okay.
Because when you're observant, you are constantly aware about where do you want to, what do you want to do, where you want to go, what do you want to, how
Create.
do you want to use your time,
Okay.
especially in that 11th, when you know you're in your 11th and 12th standard. So I think, I'm sorry if slightly missed what the question
the
was.
attributes.
Attributes, yes.
Yes.
Observation, I think, is one. And apart from this, I think it's really about, because again, a lot of people get into fashion thinking that fashion is something they really love and they want to do.
Plus glamour. I personally feel movies
Exactly
have.
is what I'm coming to.
Yeah.
So even like I've personally seen this. When I joined my college, we were a batch of 100 people. By the end of that year, we were just 10 people in the class.
Oh.
So that's like a huge cut down,
Yeah.
you see, because most of the people join thinking we'll have a fancy life, you know, we'll be just designing,
Manish
doing this.
Malhotra and Sabyasachi might be.
But it's the exact opposite. You know, you're sitting
Okay.
in gullies with karigars, you're sitting with embroiders in their homes, you're going shopping for raw material procurement, you are carrying 10 handbags, heavy load you're carrying. So it's the exact opposite.
Okay.
But if eventually you can like that process of making something, of going through the grind, is only how you can probably
But
stick.
Kunal, I think every career has to go through that particular cycle of grinding themselves.
Of course.
Because what we see in the real life versus in the real life will always have a difference, right?
Yes.
So how do we explain the students कि आगे की जिंदगी तो अच्छी होगी, सो वेयर इज दैट ट्रेड ऑफ कि हाँ मतलब अभी इतने साल तो रगड़ना है एंड उसके बाद वो थोड़ा तो ग्लैमर ऐड होगा, बिकॉज सी वी कैन नॉट completely deny the fact that it is not a glamorous field. I'm
Of
sure it
course,
is,
it is.
because एब्सोल्युटली झूठ भी नहीं देख रहे हैं हम रियल लाइफ में, रिलेटेबिलिटी है.
Yes.
तो कितने साल ऐसे निकलेंगे जहाँ स्टूडेंट्स या ऐसी क्या फैक्टर्स है जिनको उनको ध्यान रखना है, हाँ भाई इतने साल लगेंगे इस इंडस्ट्री में उस लेवल पे पहुंचने में. ऑफ कोर्स हैविंग सेड दैट, आपकी मेहनत एंड एवरीथिंग प्लेज अ ह्यूज रोल, योर सीड कैपिटल प्लेज अ ह्यूज रोल, व्हाट ऑल आर योर ड्रीम्स प्लेज अ ह्यूज रोल, बट एट द सेम टाइम कुछ साल तो करना ही पड़ेगा. सो कितनी मेहनत करनी पड़ेगी, कितने साल करना पड़ेगा और कितना रगड़ना पड़ेगा इज व्हाट आई थिंक स्टूडेंट्स आर रियली कीन टू नो.
I think it's a matter of what road do you take.
Okay.
If you're working, if you're employed with a company, or say you work with a company to gain some experience and eventually you start on your own. So
Okay.
these are the two choices people make.
Correct.
Right? So when you're working with a company, because not everyone has got a knack for business, not everyone has that
And
knack
I think that is
of-
okay.
Yes, and that is absolutely okay, because even if you're working with a company that you admire and you love, say you're working with a designer you love, if you are joining hands with them, even that's a beautiful path, because business never, there's no defining point कि आपका दिन कहाँ शुरू होता है कहाँ खत्म. It's a 365-day job, 24/7. You have to be at it. You know, you are your own boss, you are your own slave. Every time you have to be available on call. You have to, even in the middle of the night, if something's gone wrong, your team has called you up, you have to be there. There's no other way. But when you're working for a company, when you're working with someone,
There is a decorum, there is a timeline.
is a decorum, you know, there's a limited time you are going to be available being working with them, and you can have your personal time off.
Correct.
As per your discretion. So when you're working with the company, which is absolutely great, when you're working with designers, design houses, export houses, so I mean, eventually 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, when you are a beginner, say just graduated, yes, you know, a company will make you do 100 things. They'll make you multitask because even they need to see how determined are you
For
to
that
contribute
particular
towards the
field,
company,
yeah.
and how determined are you to bring the best for the company and not doing just one job at a
Correct.
time. And for any company, you will be a valuable asset if you can do 10 things in one
Of
go.
course.
Everyone wants a company like that, and why not? Because otherwise you are highly replaceable. Otherwise you're not bringing in any value. Why a company should keep you? Why a
Yeah, I
company
think
should hold you dear to them?
true. Because I personally feel there's this famous saying, Jack of all trades, master of one. But I personally feel now is an era where, yes, you have to be a master of one, but at the same time, you need to know a couple of more trades as well.
You have to be a people's person. You need to be accommodative. You need to be well mannered. You need to be well spoken. And communication is a great key.
Of course.
You know, irrespective if even if you're running your own company or not, even if you're working with some other company, communication plays a major role. And coming to the second path, eventually any graduate in fashion will take is opening their own company. But I really recommend that even before you start your own company, start working for people.
Okay.
Work with
It gives you
brands,
a lot
work
of
with
answerability
designers.
as well.
Yes, because it really shows you 100 things you could not have imagined sitting at your home or your hometown. You know, these are the things that possibly go into build a business.
Cool.
These are 100 ways in which a show can go wrong. When a designer is putting a show on the runway, backstage is a big chaos, you know, because there are hundreds of modeling models. One model has three changes in a minute. They're going up the ramp, they're coming back, changing in 10 seconds. Makeup needs to be fixed, everything going back again, forth in a minute's time. So we have done it all. Like I personally did backstage shows for Manish Malhotra, Tarun Tahliani when I was a student, and we were handling their entire backstage. All of us, like 10 students, were handling the backstage. We did steam iron. We were, you know, doing alterations. We were doing pin-ups. We were doing every sort of thing, and it really shows you when designer of a big stature or say a big design house, how do that work? How does that work? How do they make their budgets for putting up a show? How do they cut down on budgets? How do they hire a team of choreographer? How do they hire a team of set designers who will put up your show eventually? So I think one must do everything before starting their own business.
I think this is a very important point because that's what the real life shows us, that if you're a fashionista, or let's say stepping into the field of fashion designing, the only thing that you should do is step out of college and start your own degree. Start your own studio. I think this is really important for them to understand. It's great if you work under somebody, get to have a holistic view, and then maybe take up those learnings to start something
I've
of
got
your
a very
own.
interesting take on this because how I look at this particular thing is that you are getting to learn at someone else's expense. Someone is
Ah, that's
paying
nice.
you actually to learn from them.
Uh-huh.
Someone's paying you to learn because when you're just fresh out of college, you don't know how things work because
Correct.
ultimately it's the difference between a bookish knowledge and in real things are totally
Practically, they're
different.
different. Correct.
Plus you're getting to learn how does a big corporation work,
Works right.
what are the hierarchies are like, what kind of how is the right kind of hiring done, what kind of verticals, how do they manage their manpower, how do they manage their carriers, how do they manage their hrs, how do they manage their say, you know, quality check
Operations,
people,
QC, yeah.
operations. So you really get to learn so much in such little time that eventually you are so equipped to
Now
open a
start of
business
your
of
own.
your
Correct.
own.
So it's a glamorous field, we all know. Still, I see a lot of acceptance which is not yet there in the society. So while you were choosing fashion as your thing, did you have uh, any red flags or something from the family that okay, no, don't go for fashion as a field, or did you have supportive family?
Yeah, I had a super supportive family
Okay.
because I think they knew this, they saw it in me that I have a knack for this. And I was super confident about it. Like, this is the only thing at that point in my life I was really confident about. Anything in regards to studies, or literature, I did not have any confidence. But when it came to arts and fashion and things like that, I was super confident.
So tell me one thing. This is a situation which is honestly nowadays common. We do have supportive parents, but at the same time, there are students who can do fantastic in this particular field, but unfortunately, they do not have this support. So, what is your take on this? How do we ensure some support from such parents and make them understand that this is what your child is really into?
I think where we as Indians come from a history standpoint, we are always surviving, we are always fighting for our survival. So even in terms of parents having apprehensions about their kid or their children joining fashion industry, I would say that they're just misinformed, I would say.
Okay.
It's not like they're wrong
They should do
or
their
they're
entire
right.
homework
Yes.
before presenting it to the
Yes.
parents.
So I think as a student, it's your responsibility to inform your parents, to educate them about the field,
Okay.
to show them ki how does fashion corporations work,
All right.
what kind of growth do they see, what kind of businesses do they do, and what kind of defined stable job profiles do they have.
आई थिंक एक मैंने बहुत पहले वीडियो देखा था सदगुरु का वेयर अ सिमिलर क्वेश्चन केम अप एंड आई वुड रियली लाइक टू कोट इट हियर. उन्होंने यही कहा था कि आप पेरेंट्स को एक ऐसी बुक समझो जिनको जिनको आप पहली बार मतलब एक क्वेश्चन पेपर की तरह सोचो. यू हैव टू take it like a presentation. This
That's
is
true.
how my career will start. This is how I want to go ahead with it. So talking about college life, what are those subjects that normally we study in fashion designing? Because I'm sure maths or physics तो नहीं ही पढ़ते होंगे. So what are those subjects that you study in your mighty years of graduation?
Yeah, first I went to Pearl, then I went to FAD. Both are colleges known for fashion, textiles, photography, these kind of courses. So usually at fashion colleges, it starts with foundation.
Okay.
तो फाउंडेशन में आपको सब कुछ पढ़ाया जाता है अबाउट मटेरियल्स लाइक डिफरेंट फैब्रिक्स, टेक्सटाइल्स, व्हाट आर हैंडलूम फैब्रिक्स, what do they look like, how do they feel like. You are taught about machine made power loom fabrics. You are taught about different materials like leather, rubber, how to use those materials, color psychology and everything. So basically color psychology is one of the subject.
Okay.
Fashion forecasting is a very important subject because it helps you predict trends. And every year globally there is a Pantone shade card that comes out. Mood boarding is something very important when you're a designer. How do you ideate? What are the pictures in terms of visuals? What is the kind of storytelling you like? So you mood board to come into a certain zone so that you can design better, you can imagine better, you do
This
mind
is
mapping.
taught? Like
Yeah, all of
literally?
these things are taught.
Okay.
But it's very important to have good mentors, because if you have a good mentor who doesn't satisfy for anything less, it will ensure that you only become the best at what you do.
Cool.
Because if you have a mentor who settles down too early of whatever you present, I think time to rethink. Because the kind of mentors I had, and thankfully, because back then to us it felt like कि क्यों करा रहे हैं यार, मतलब why do they want more options, why are they not satisfied.
But now you're reaping
But
the benefits.
now looking back, I mean, they made us go through the grind, which help us also navigate places which we would not have otherwise.
Okay.
Me as an individual, I could not have imagined any better. I could not have thought of things that now I'm capable of thinking us do as
So I think in the
students.
hindsight, everything now makes sense.
Everything.
Correct.
Everything.
So since you learned so many subjects, as you just mentioned, which is that one subject that you think, or maybe the hands-on training that any student should not miss? What is that?
Here I think cutting, because cutting is a thing you feel like कि हाँ master will do it, ये कर लेंगे, हम किसी इंसान को hire कर लेंगे. But cutting is one thing because that's the most technical aspect of creating any product.
Okay.
Say if you're making a car, if the drafting is not done right, the design will never come out as you imagined. Similarly, in terms of fashion, in terms of clothing, if you desire a certain kind of fit, if you are not very sound with your cutting skills, so you won't be able to tell your master where you are going wrong, where he is going wrong, he or she is going wrong. and B, you won't have clarity basically.
All right.
And there's a saying that goes, a good design is, I'm sorry, I mean, if I'm not wrong, it is, a good design speaks of a clear mind.
Okay.
So when you are very equipped with your cutting skills and when you know a little bit of tailoring, you can achieve any design you want in a very efficient way and in a very effective manner.
Cool.
So cutting and stitching are two things you should know.
Which is otherwise overlooked upon, as per you, by the students.
Because a lot of students choose to look at the glamour side.
Uh-huh.
कि you know, okay, हम किसी को रख लेंगे करने के लिए, we don't want to do it, but unless you don't do it, वो कहते हैं ना कि आपको किसी से काम करवाना है तो पहले खुद
खुद
आपको
आना
काम
चाहिए.
आना जरूरी
सही
है.
बात है.
It's like that.
Talking about AI these days, how do you think it is
Very
shaping the
scary.
fashion? Yeah, you know, why did I ask this question? I'll be very transparent. I talk to students, still they are like very unwelcoming about the AI thing, and at the same time, social media ने इस चीज़ को बहुत prevalent कर दिया कि AI is going to take up your jobs. AI is going to take up your jobs. So there's a little मतलब वो जो डर है वो सही भी है. तो according to you, किस तरीके से फैशन इंडस्ट्री शेप अप होगी इन द कमिंग डेकेड और लेट्स से हाफ ऑफ इट एटलीस्ट?
Yeah, I think it's a thing that has come up और वो भी इंसानों ने ही बनाई है. AI in general has been designed and programmed by
Correct.
humans. So it's a tool we have. Now it's up to us how we use it. I think people who are into digital space, like people who's जिनका काम बहुत ज़्यादा dependent है on softwares, on tech, for them it's definitely a very mind-boggling and a scary thought in terms of how it will affect their fields of work. But I think when it comes to fashion, if people want, they can really use it in a much better way in terms of giving the right prompts so that they can storyboard better, they can mood board better,
Okay.
they can do their old collections. But personally, I'm very old school in terms of tailoring as an art form and design, because since our label is mostly seeped into hand craftsmanship a lot, so I don't personally use AI a lot, and I don't think I will be doing that a lot, because I think the biggest threat of world wars and things like that is water, data, and people losing their jobs.
Correct.
Because as soon as people have nothing to do, like you all know, Harari has spoken in depth about his book Homo Sapiens.
Yes.
Sapiens.
Yes.
About existential crisis,
Correct.
about losing the jobs at the age of 40, 50. Like, what will someone do? So I think it's very important that we use this tool, which is AI, very responsibly, because we as humans have gotten a chance to live, feel, touch, see, love, cry whenever we want. So I think we should be a bit wary about how we use it.
And there's no harm in trying it out. I mean, I feel that students are a little scared about the fact that how will I implement or use this particular tool in my day in, day out affair? But it's fine. I mean, that it's just a tool, as you mentioned, it's created by humans. Therefore, just welcome it.
And I also think that we are at a cusp where people don't really know
how to use it.
how to use it and how to navigate with this. It's still new. With the tech part, and again, people having tech heavy jobs or digital relying jobs, they are pretty much on their toes with it, with AI. But fields apart from that, they're still figuring it out as to how to use it. But even in terms of student who are now in their 10th, 11th, 12th grade, I think these kids are super sharp with their mind. Like,
And very quick in
they
grasping
are
things.
very
I've
quick,
realized
they are
this.
very agile, they are
adaptive.
very smart. They are very smart. Like, they can assimilate, absorb anything and everything really quickly. So I think they will eventually navigate
Adapt
through
to
it.
it, yeah.
Yes.
Cool. Students aim to give NID, NIFT, UC. These are the primary examinations that students are. But the selection percentage is very low as compared to the number of aspirants. Hardcore students who have aimed कि मुझे NID Ahmedabad जाना है या one of these elite colleges. If that's not happening, what should be the ideal plan B? for such students?
यार आई थिंक if a student is pretty clear कि उन्हें करना फैशन ही है और any field of fashion में ही उन्हें pursue करना है career, then I think there are more options also. Yes, agreed के सारे in colleges में seats are a bit limited, position is a bit tight, but you always have alternatives. Like you have Pearl in 4 or 5 different cities.
Okay.
NID has opened up in many more cities. Bhopal is
Correct.
one of them as well. And there's INIFD. There are many private colleges. So you just need to be a bit mindful about what college are you picking. You know, so just meet with the faculty, see their infrastructure, talk to their faculties before, say,
Picking up
submitting or before actually subscribing to the college, before paying your fees. Interact with people because you really need to have a word with people who will be teaching you.
one. Did you sit for placements in your college days?
I did a lot of small jobs here and there
Okay.
because I was very curious to make money, and see, I just wanted to try कि how equipped I am with my knowledge कि मैं खुद के लिए I can make a buck or two for myself. I wanted to explore that. So I have sold design sheets to different brands. I have, you know, I've briefly worked as a consultant, and I still do, to various brands which are led by business people, where
Okay.
business families are running a design house, and they every year they, for a quarter or two, they want a designer to design collections for them. So I've sold my design sheets, I've sold designs, I've done consultation, I've worked with a couple of stores here and there to learn and to see
Okay.
that how do they work, what are the things, like how to speak to a customer, what to say, what not to say, how to make them
Negotiation skills.
comfortable, how to negotiate, because all these things are very important because it's a consumer facing business.
So I think a lot of things I have already asked you around how students should look into this particular career this particular field as a career. Before I actually wrap up and ask you what should be your closing note to a student and to a parent, I have a quick rapid fire for you. I don't have to tell you what it is.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So
Be
you have to
easy
be
on me.
really, really
Be easy
quick.
on me,
Yeah,
please.
sure. You have to be really, really quick in answering. So tell me, which is your favorite fashion designer? You can say Kunal Maru if you want to.
Okay, I won't say that, but I think in my journey, I get a
Somebody-
big high every time I get done for the day
Okay.
by looking at the things I've done in a day, by how the designs have turned out. Because it's a rapid fire supposed to. Is it fine? My answer is a bit longer. No, you
Yeah,
want
it
to
is
keep
fine,
it
but
rapid?
still I need an answer in one word as well. You can, of course, share your thoughts.
Favorite designer? Okay, I'll say me.
Okay, great. I personally feel that's nice to celebrate yourself, and that's what I really want students to understand that it's not necessary that you should have somebody who's on screen. It could be you yourself who's giving you a lot of inspiration. All right. A quick ideal pathway. A student is in grade 10th, or let's say is about to choose a subject. What are those things that he should be taking care of? The subject, according to you, the college, the internship, the job, anything you want to share that ye ideal pathway follow karna is a safe option.
In terms of chronology of it,
Yeah.
you're just be curious and take things as it come.
Okay.
And that's how it works in the most natural way in life also. Like just
Okay.
how you deal with things is what matters.
Cool. What is your favorite part of the industry?
Favorite part of fashion industry?
Yes.
Creating. That we
Okay.
get to create, we get to design, we get to think, and we get to create.
Any fun or memorable or embarrassing moment that you can remember, recall from your college days at Pollock?
Embarrassing many, but I think for me, big high was when, as a student, we were getting an opportunity to showcase in Dubai. When I
Okay.
showcased my collection, and right, it was my dream that my first job is offered to me and I don't have to ask for it. And that happened at that very night when we did our show. So amongst all the students, I was the one who landed a job. A designer
Oh,
came backstage
fantastic.
looking for me to offer a job.
Okay. 1990s fashion or boho themed these days? What will you pick?
Old school. Because everything we see and wear today is coming back from 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s.
True.
Be it
Bell-bottoms are in.
boot cuts,
Yeah.
wayfarers, butterfly shades. All of it is from the past.
90s or
Yes.
maybe from the past. Yeah.
Yes.
Cool. So, fashion influencers or movie inspiration?
Movies.
Which is your favorite in terms of fashion? Is fashion your favorite movie by any chance?
No.
No, it doesn't
Filmmaking in general as a craft is my favorite medium.
Okay. So, your favorite movie? Does it come from the fashion genre?
No, not at all. It is more about lighting of the film.
Okay.
Because see, there's so many it's like asking who's your favorite child. You
Okay.
can't.
Yeah.
Because
True that.
there's so much beauty around you.
Okay. So, casual blazers or stylish sneakers?
Casual blazers.
Okay. Digital sketching or hands-on
Hand-on
sewing?
sketches.
Okay. Movies or magazines?
Both have their own charm.
Okay.
Yes, both
but
hit
given
differently.
a time where you have to pick, should I go and read a GQ or should I go and watch a movie? Which one will you pick?
There's a beautiful crafted magazine called Serial.
Okay. Do
You
you
should check
recommend
that
that
out.
for your students?
Yes.
Okay.
It's
Serial.
something with aesthetic on point. It's a British couple based out of Nottingham.
Okay.
No, actually Bath in UK. So they've created this magazine called Serial. They roll out 2 issues a year. It's beautiful. The kind of
Okay.
photography, typography, the print, it's beautiful.
Everything is great. All right. And what's your favorite pastime?
Pastime is doing nothing.
Oh.
Because I really believe you're doing a lot when you're doing nothing.
Uh-huh.
When something playing in the background, you pick a book, read a page or two, sketch a little, enjoy your coffee
Do you
or tea.
still sketch?
Yes.
Okay.
I think right where you're sitting on your background is all our hand-on sketches, all our tech
yes.
sheets we provide to the team.
Uh-huh.
So yes, I love
You
sketching.
still do that?
And I love to paint.
Perfect. Cool. So anything that you feel that in the industry, while we are wrapping up, students should know? Any piece of advice for the students as a fashion designer?
Curious raho yaar, because what I see these days is people are not at all curious.
ठीक है?
They are just sitting, not asking questions. If you have an opportunity to meet anyone who's from the industry or around fashion, ask them 10 questions about how did they do it, what do they do, and just be curious, just be hungry.
Be the Rancho of Three Idiots.
Hurry, be whatever, just be bloody curious. Ask people questions. Get your hands
Alright.
dirty, do things.
Anything that you want to say to the parents? If their child is dreaming of becoming a fashion designer or into the field, this is what they should be aware of, or as a fashion designer, this is what you want to
Yeah,
share.
I think what parents really want is to know if their children are on right path or not.
Okay.
So when it's a subject of your kid wants to get into fashion and you want to understand if they are really serious about it, ask them questions. Ask them about how educated are your kids about the field. Ask them to teach you ki why, like convince me why you should be doing it.
Correct.
I think it'll be a good deal for both of them.
Cool. I think we had quite a lot of insightful details into the realities of how the fashion industry work and probably how the college life really looks like, what all are the subjects that we normally study. That's a great wrap. Tell me, how did you feel being with us here on an episode of Better Tomorrow at our podcast?
Yeah, Sukriti, it was really nice. I think questions you asked were very specific to the audience you have. And I really had a lovely time chatting with you.
So, small hamper from our
Kya
side.
baat hai.
Yes. For
Thank
you know,
you.
being with us. And you can check out your
Achha, there's a personal
inbox.
note, which is very sweet.
Yes, you have to check out your inbox as well.
Okay.
There's something for you in the inbox.